Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and keep watching more details. General Hospital Recap Monday, September 16. Alexis trapped after line to cops. Car spotted in queue driveway. General Hospital, GH. Spoilers recap for Monday, September 16, reveals that Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, showed up at the gallery and bickered with Eva Jerome, Mara West, since he wanted to postpone Avery Corinthos, Ava, and Grace Scarola custody hearing. Once Rick Hurst, appeared and made it known that he was Ava's lawyer, Sonny clashed with him next. Rick acted like Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy, would serve as a cautionary tale and help him convince the judge that Sonny was an unfit father. Sonny ranted about Rick sending the cops after Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grun, and ultimately thought his half-brother still held a grudge over their mother giving Rick up. Rick acted like Sonny should just hand himself over to the police if he wanted to save Alexis from her current legal issues. On Sonny's way out, he warned Eva that Rick would turn on her just like he did with everyone else. After Sonny left, Ava wondered if she could indeed trust Rick, but she ultimately seemed convinced that he'd truly help her. Meanwhile, Sasha Gilmore Quartermain, Sophia Matson, didn't think Cody Bell, Josh Kelly, would face Tracy Quartermain's Jane Elliott fury for throwing a brunch party, but Tracy insisted he wouldn't do that anyway and denied playing favorites. Tracy also suggested Sasha should do more with her cooking talents since she'd eventually want more out of life than trying to make Cody happy. Sasha thought this was more about Tracy being worried she'd lose Cody and urged her to consider why she didn't have many friends. After receiving a text from Jason Morgan, Steve Purton, Danny Morgan, Asher Antonizin, showed up at GH with great news since his dad was headed to Africa to bring Lucky Spencer, Jonathan Jackson, home. Danny gave Elizabeth Baldwin, Rebecca Herbst, the scoop and wanted to tell Dan Falconeri, Dominic Zampona, too, since Lucky could hopefully save Lulu Spencer, Alexa Havens. At the police station, Sam McCall, temporarily played by Lindsay Hartley, was concerned over Alexis Davis, Nancy Lee Grun, agreeing to get interviewed, but Alexis pushed her to head to GH after Liz texted her. Detective Calvin Bennett, Kendrick Cross, ultimately conducted the interview, which included Alexis lying about finding the gun in the grass outside. There were also questions about the car, so Alexis eventually flashed back to being unable to find her keys after Christina took the vehicle. However, Alexis stuck to her story about driving to the footbridge and straight back home. Detective Bennett sought clarification about Alexis being the only one who drove the car that night, so she lied that she was indeed the only one. Unfortunately, Alexis' car had been spotted in the Quartermain driveway right around the time John Jagger Cates, Adam J. Harrington, was shot, so Detective Bennett filled her in on that shocker. At the hospital, Sam got updates on Jason's rescue and worried about Danny's excitement. After Danny stepped out, Sam vented to Liz about her son acting like Jason was a hero for abandoning him for another risky mission. When Danny returned, he overheard something that tipped him off to Sam's fear that Jason might never come home. That led to Danny's reassurance that Jason wouldn't die and that Sam just needed to have a little faith. In Molly Lansing Davis, Kristen Vaganano's office, Christina flew into a rage over her sister pointing the cops at her. Molly acted like Christina needed to confess for Alexis' sake, but Christina repeatedly insisted she was innocent. Once Molly got a phone call about Alexis' arrest, she raced to the station while Christina sought out Dan for help. Back at the hospital, Cody stopped by Lulu's room to officially meet her and sat with her while Danta went off to find Christina. After Danta found out about Alexis' arrest, he warned Christina that the cops wouldn't have done what without major evidence. At the PCPD again, Molly ranted to Sonny about Alexis burying herself to protect Christina. General Hospital spoilers say Alexis' mess will get worse before it gets better, so we'll bring you more predictions on all the disasters ahead. The morning in Port Charles began ominously as Alexis Davis found herself ensnared in a web of deceit, lies, and dangerous consequences, all while the residents of the Quartermain mansion had their own dramatic developments simmering under the surface. Hashtag Alexis lies to the cops. Alexis Davis, known for her sharp legal mind and lately her tendency to find herself in one mess after another, woke up anxious. Over the weekend, Alexis had gotten involved in something she never should have touched, a criminal investigation surrounding a car accident that took place on the outskirts of Port Charles. The details were murky, but the blame was shifting rapidly, and she felt the weight of it. When the Port Charles Police Department arrived at Alexis' house earlier that morning, her heart pounded in her chest. It wasn't the first time she had been in hot water, but this felt different. Something about this situation had her on edge. Alexis opened the door to face two detectives, their expressions stern and full of suspicion. "Ms. Davis, we need to ask you a few questions about a car that was involved in an accident. We believe it might be connected to someone you know," Detective Chase said, his eyes narrowing as he glanced at her driveway. Alexis, playing it cool as ever, shook her head and feigned ignorance. "I'm afraid I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't seen or heard anything about an accident." But the truth was far more complicated. Alexis did know something. Over the weekend, she had been tipped off by an anonymous source that a car tied to a crime syndicate had been spotted near her home. Instead of doing the smart thing and immediately contacting the police, Alexis got pulled into a series of dangerous choices, including driving the car herself to move it out of view. The detectives didn't seem to buy her innocent act. "We have reason to believe that car was last seen in your neighborhood. If there's something you're not telling us, now is the time to come clean," Chase warned. But Alexis wasn't ready to fold. She continued to deny any involvement. She was far too deep in her own lies now, and any admission would expose her not just to the police, but to the people she was truly afraid of, the ones who owned that car. Hashtag the Quartermain mansion sees an unexpected visitor. Meanwhile, at the Quartermain mansion, things were heating up in a different way. The quiet morning was shattered when Ned Quartermain glanced out the front window and saw something strange. A car, one that wasn't familiar, was sitting in the driveway. It had been there since early dawn, but no one had come to claim it. Ned immediately went into alert mode, thinking of all the potential threats that seemed to circle the Quartermain family on a regular basis. With ELQ's recent turmoil and Valentin Cassavin's schemes still looming in the background, Ned's suspicions were on high alert. "Ned, what's going on? You look like you've seen a ghost," Olivia called from the other room, sensing her husband's anxiety. "There's a car outside. I don't recognize it," Ned responded, a frown creasing his forehead. "No one's gotten out of it. I don't like this." Tracy Quartermain, never one to let a mystery lie, came downstairs at that moment, peering out the window alongside Ned. "Whoever it is, they're clearly not in a rush to come knock on our door. I say we get Spinelli to figure out whose car that is," Tracy suggested, her tone matter-of-fact. Ned agreed, but first, they needed to find out whether the car was connected to something more sinister, and with Port Charles being what it was, something sinister seemed like a reasonable assumption. Hashtag Alexis' web of deceit grows. Back at Alexis' house, things had taken a dark turn. After managing to dodge the cops, for now, Alexis was left to contemplate her next move. She felt trapped. She knew that if she didn't figure out a way to clean up this mess, the police would be back, and next time she might not be so lucky. Panicking, Alexis reached out to her daughter Sam McCall. Sam, always sharp and perceptive, immediately picked up on her mother's distress. "Mom, what's going on? You sound off," Sam said, worry creeping into her voice. Alexis hesitated, unsure how much she should reveal to her daughter. "I'm fine. I've gotten into a bit of a situation," she admitted vaguely, pacing the living room. "The police were here earlier, asking about a car." Sam's instincts kicked in. "A car? What kind of car? And why would they be asking you about it?" "I don't know, Sam. I don't know why they're so interested," Alexis replied, her voice tight. She hated lying to Sam, but she didn't want her daughter involved in something this dangerous. The less Sam knew, the better. But Sam wasn't buying it. "Mom, this sounds serious. You're not telling me everything."